Redshift private orbits. Observatories don't sleep. They blink. After the last tour group trudges down the hill with their borrowed awe and the gift shop counts its constellation mugs like a rosary, the caldera goes quiet in ways that only a machine learns. The dome motors tick as the metal skins contract. The cooling pumps hum a note you can feel in your ribs if you lean against the pier. Red safe lights turn the corridors into a shared secret. If you've never stood under a slit of sky at 2:11 a.m. and heard a telescope breathe, you don't know how a building can ask you to tell the truth without moving a single hinge. I'm Elias. Night operations. My kingdom. 2 consoles, a rack of servers that are always 5 degrees warmer than they want to be, a cupboard with wind meter batteries and prayer, a drawer of Allen keys that could tune a stubborn piano, and a little round tin of blue carpenter's chalk I have no sanctioned use for. My office is a glass rectangle tucked under the dome's lip. From my chair I can see the azimuth readout, the sky quality meter, and the ladder to the catwalk where the wind writes its opinions across the whole valley. Rowan, my wife then, could make a boardroom applaud at the right time without anyone noticing she taught them how. Science communications, it said on paper, but what she trafficked in was velocity, the speed with which ideas become adjectives people are willing to stand next to. We met at a donor night when I made the telescope bow to Saturn, and she made 3 CEOs believe in curiosity. I liked the way she listened as if silence were the rare element. She liked the way I treated the dome as a body that deserved consent. We kept Wednesdays. She'd come up the service road in a dark coat that didn't care about weather, tag the keypad with the code she never officially learned, and tap my glass twice. There is a notch along my spine from the lip of the control desk. You could map our marriage with that bruise. There's a comma of a birthmark below her jaw I could find with my eyes closed. She would look at the schedule and say, "We've got 10," and I'd use 9 and pocket 1 as a tip for the night. If that sounds like bragging, I'm only building the room. Atmosphere matters. The first odd thing wasn't a lipstick smear, it was a data point. Hatch E2 held open 6s. No one holds a hatch. The motor complains, the limit switch tattles, the log remembers. In the staff fridge, 2 splits of Risset walked out without a chaperone. On the rubber eye-cup of the finder scope, a ghost of plum color lived like a secret practicing. In the corner of the server room, the thermal camera hiccuped for 19 seconds at 00:43 and came back with a note. Motion detected. There's only one kind of animal that looks like upright heat. You write a gentle story first. A touring astrophotographer rode ahead of schedule. A late demo for a VIP Rowan forgot to ping me about. The interns and their lip gloss and their belief that the universe is listening to them specifically. Then on the second Thursday, the same minutes in the log. 00:41, a courtesy lie in the south gate. 00:43, thermal flicker. 00:45, the finder eye-cup not where I left it, a little too diagonal like a mouth that thinks it isn't being watched. Under the ladder to the catwalk, a clear silicone bead winked when my headlamp found it. Not an earring back. An earbud tip, transparent, trustworthy, designed to be forgotten. We were folding towels in halves, which always bothered me. Thirds are calmer, when Rowan put open on the table with the same tone architects used to say load-bearing. "With rules," she said. "With care, with us first." She didn't touch me while she said it. She stood with her hip leaned into the counter, braced as a sailor who trusts the boat more than the water. I wanted to be big enough, the way the dome teaches you to be. You make space for the heavens or you get out of the way. We wrote it down, no one from the caldera. No donors, tell before, not after, protection always. Our bed, sovereign territory. The first week after the treaty, she kissed me like a truce. The second, like an apology that had lost the right language. The third she texted at 11:08. Client star party ran long, don't wait up, and Hatch E2 decided to sigh for 7 seconds again. I don't build traps in a sanctuary. I build mirrors. I dusted the inside plate of the hatch handle with a breath of chalk from my tin, mixed with pollen from the night-blooming cereus the botanists keep at the foot of the dome for luck. Under a blacklight, both glow like someone told a secret that wanted attention. I set the alignment cap on the finder to a mark only I could love. I stretched a thread of monofilament at shin height across the short hall from the console room to the little kitchenette, not to snare, only to toll a bell in the stride of the hurried. I tightened the closer on the control room door until it forgave patience and punished ambition. 00:41, Southgate held sevens. 00:43, thermal camera cough, and then the soft, bumbled music of bodies pretending to be careful. The chalk on the hatch plate translated itself into a small galaxy where a palm must be. The monofilament lay on the floor in a neat, respectful coil at 00:46, which told me whoever was there had the presence of mind to disengage what they didn't understand. Beneath the finder, my alignment cap sat turned a degree left. I would have forgiven any of it. My job is to forgive small shifts in azimuth. It was the mug in the kitchenette that made me a mammal, a ring of plum on ceramic, and the mint aftersmell of toothpaste in a place where the universe asks for silence. Rowan came to my glass door with fast hair and the calm that means nothing has yet officially happened. She saw the blacklight wand in my hand before I saw my own anger. In its glow, a faint spray lit the inside of her wrist where a pulse might whisper. She followed my eyes, looked down, and there in the blue was a constellation that meant only one thing. She had put her hand where only I should have. "Don't," she said, not ashamed, just tired as if the night had asked too many questions in a row. "I asked for before," I said. "I thought I did," she said, and in her grammar client star party counted. In mine it did not. He arrived a step behind her with his jacket over his shoulder like the dome had personally requested him. Nova Sloan is the name her followers chant. In her emails she signs Novan S. Astrophotographer, content hydra, owner of a gaze that treats attention like heavy currency. She wore sneakers designed to make concrete feel seen and a mouth that understood where a camera might be. She looked at me with politeness calibrated for doors. "We'll go," she said. Not to me, to the air. To the building that was trying to remember if it had a sense of humor. "We're not performing in here," I said, and I opened the south gate myself. The jasmine by the walkway had flung its night perfume down like a gauntlet. They left with their coats not quite closed. The dome watched like a parent who can't help it. We separated with the competence of people whose careers depend on very small, very precise hands. She took the bar cart, the champagne flutes, the blazer I would always admire no matter who wore it. I kept the chipped mug with the old observatory logo and the Allen key that lives on a string around my neck like a secular amulet. We signed papers in a courthouse that smelled like old varnish and forced cheer, and walked out into weather that refused to make it easy by being dramatic. Work is a kind of mercy. The Perseids came and the valley lay down and took them like medicine. A high school robotics team used our conference room and left a poster with a misspelled star name and a thank you that could have been a prayer. The dome motors learned a new complaint I tracked to a bearing that needed grease and patience. The interns discovered that coffee is not a food group and that telescopes are offended by crumbs. Mina arrived with a crate for the new spectrograph and a laugh she didn't hand out to rooms. Optics engineer, it said in her file. Woman who knows how to convince glass to tell the truth, it said in her walk. She pinned her hair up with a pencil. Her hand smelled faintly of isopropyl and orange oil. When she sat on her heels to check the instrument bay clearance, the tendons in her wrist stood out like music. She listened to the dome by resting her palm against the pier and closing her eyes. My kind of ritual. "You ever swing the slit just to watch the stars find you instead?" she asked, grin tucked in. "When the building asks for honesty," I said. We began like colleagues who have decided to risk competence in the vicinity of each other. She tuned the spectrograph's appetite. I eased the telescope's shoulders into their new task. Between calibrations, she ate crackers in my office and left the wrapper folded into boats she didn't notice she was building. At 3 a.m. on a night when Cirrus made the universe coy, she stood with me under the slit and we listened to the wind unbraid itself. I told her about rules that looked like fences and felt like ladders. I didn't give her the dramatic edit. Radio stations and observatories hate melodrama for the same reason. It lies about time. The first time Mina kissed me, we were at the threshold to the instrument room because thresholds are honest. Half in, half out, the air voting. Her mouth tasted of tea and the rind of some fruit she hadn't mentioned. She kept her eyes open for a beat, not to check for witnesses, but to choose me again once she had a better angle. I put my palm against her ribs and her breath stepped closer until I was part of it. We did not hurry. Speed is a trick frightened people play on themselves. We made rules that sounded like respect. No bodies near optics. No hands on the control board unless the board asked. Yes to the catwalk at 2:30 when the valley lights post their confession. Yes to the little bench by the air handler where it's loud enough to laugh into each other's necks without making a scene. Yes to my office with the red lights low, her thigh along mine under the desk as we watched the azimuth numbers count a quiet language. My job was still to keep the sanctuary a sanctuary. Hers was to remind me I had a body even when the sky demanded metaphor. Rowan came back to the caldera for the gala we called Night of 1,000 Eyes because donors love being told they're plural. She wore a dress that convinced Glass to try harder. Novan followed the beam of a spotlight like someone who had practiced. We saw each other and did the polite nod that says we will not let this building carry what we can carry ourselves. Mina stood near the scale model with her hands in her pockets like a person who doesn't need to posture. Later, in the staff kitchen, Rowan and I petted the same ridiculous cat that lives in the internet and forgot us in the pantry. We talked about nothing worth quoting and left our half-finished sentences where they were because finishing them would change nothing. After the speeches and the checks and the way the word legacy sticks in a throat if you say it more than thrice, after the valet line learned patience, after a child in a tulle skirt fell asleep on a chair and became an installation, I took my last round. Hatches, obedient. Thermal, board, finder, aligned where I left it. In my desk, beside the tin of chalk and a coil of monofilament, I now use only to remind a wayward cable who's in charge. Lay two clear earbud tips like quotation marks around a chapter. I put them in the Altoids tin with the spare Allen and snapped it shut the way a person closes a pass that doesn't require an audience. Mina found me at the glass door with her face widened by the red light in a way that made me want to name a color for it. She leaned against the frame and let her shoulder soften the geometry. "We done pretending the building does know?" she asked. "The building knows everything," I said, "but it likes us better when we don't make it complicit." We took the bench by the air handler because romance can survive ugly noises. I put my mouth at the place below her ear where language thinks it can live without grammar, and her hand found the notch in my back and pressed there like an oath. We smiled into each other's mouths when my elbow bumped the desk and a keyboard complained on our behalf. We counted to 10 and used 9, not because we believe in scarcity, but because it is good manners to tip the night. There's a version of this where I went to war. where I opened a mic and burned a brand and made the dome into a courtroom. That story gets clicks. It doesn't fix bearings. It doesn't keep stars. I walked two people out of a door and went back to a machine older than any of our appetites and asked it what mattered. It answered the way machinery does, by doing its work again. If you come up the hill on a night the public isn't invited, you might see a red seam of light slide across metal and hear the small labor of gears that have earned their grease. You might watch a man in a sweater move his hand over a console the way he moves his hand over a shoulder he's promised to learn. You might meet a woman who laughs like calibration and stands like a metronome until the room remembers its pulse. You might smell mint where it doesn't belong and then not smell it again. I lock hatch E2 and feel the familiar burr under my thumb. Every door has a personality if you've earned its trust. I run the dome home and listen for the clean click that means a night has ended without lying. Mina steals my last clean minute because she can. I let her because I should. We descend the ladder with the kind of care the sky deserves. Outside, the valley throws its lights up like it's trying to be a constellation. The wind lifts the hair at Mina's neck and makes me revise my opinions on meteorology. Observatories don't sleep, they blink. They forgive slowly, then all at once, the way you forgive your own ribs for remembering a bruise. I shut down the servers and watch their LEDs perform their private little aurora. In my pocket, the Altoids tin makes a small, hollow sound when I walk. It's not a trophy. It's a relic that belongs to a closed exhibit. I turn off the red lights and let the dark inherit the room. In the parking lot, the dome shrinks to its proper size against the sky, which is to say almost comic. I put my hand in Mina's back pocket because we have together earned the right to be foolish outside the sanctuary. She kisses me with a softness that contains an argument for all the hard choices we are still going to have to make. We have 10. We use 9. We fold the last into our mouths like a star we're saving for a better telescope. The slit above us is closed, but the night is all aperture.